Yo, is this working? Hello? Is it good? We're gonna try. I just set up my really good PC. It's fucking... This PC's too big. Way too big. This PC's like 4 times the size of my other one. We'll see. Camera quality looks good. Everything kind of looks okay. How's that look? Is that good? Does that look good? Is it not blurry? Does it really? Well, I'm trying to... This is not the... This isn't a new camera. No, it's the same one. I still want to try and get a DSLR, but like... If I can't get the DSLR, if it won't work for the setup, I will probably put that money into something more relevant for the channel, because people did donate for it. Or I just go ahead and just straight up get the DSLR and, like, work it somehow. Because if this camera is good... It kind of looks like a DSLR. You know what, I'm just still gonna get the DSLR. People donated for it, so I'm not gonna, like, chintz them out. It's just a matter of space for me. Space is the biggest problem I have. Space is really bad. But let me try and work out some stuff. I need to clean. I figured I would just straight up get on. And see how it works. It looks great and has a higher frame rate. I mean, this PC is straight up better, so it should. This PC is, like, infinitely better than the one I was just using. Do I have any, like, backings? This stuff is just... I don't even need this anymore. This is all gone. This is gonna be gone. So... Let me delete this page completely. Goodbye. Goodbye. I need these two to gauge how to do the rest. I want to try Total War on this PC, but it's very bizarre. Like, I'm not even using a gaming keyboard, at least one that I'm comfortable with. My brother did a pretty good job at, like, cleaning out the PC. MLP Warhammer crossover confirmed. Did you just wake up from, like, a coma? Is that the first thing you've seen? Fake news! It's just fake news! Fake news. Let me clean my desk up. Well, the problem with gaming is that this setup was never meant to game. It was meant to hobby, and now I can do both, which is a problem because now I don't have a proper gaming setup, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, I'm using peripherals and stuff that are more spacious. That was the idea of this channel. A spacious setup. Okay. Yikes. That's bad. Isn't Nagash like 150, 200 bucks? I just realized the camera is not even on the right side. How do I flip that? Transform. Flip horizontal. There we go. Cool. I need a black backing. You can't even see this text. What the hell is this? What is this? Text for ants? Or blind people? I can't see. We're good. We're just trying to set up the, new PC. Not the new PC, the good PC on the second channel. I need a, like, black backing. We do this very quickly. Black backing. Okay. Holy magic. I make it smaller, though. Good. Looks good to me, kinda. I do, some. I was genetically stunted at birth. They weren't allowed to give me arm hair. They gave me, hair elsewhere. I was genetically gifted to be a freak. Look, I got holes. Yummy! Okay. Let me organize my desk. And maybe I will try Total War. Maybe. Let me, put some of this shit in here. I feel like I'm gonna just botch Total War completely. Because I haven't played with this setup. I don't know how good my micro is. Like, no shit, the dwarves would get changes, and then, You know, it's weird, though, because I told myself I wouldn't be playing this game when I had access to the hobby. And then they fucking come out with, like, all these buffs. And it's enticing. Because there's certain things that are now more relevant than they were before. That are intriguing. Like, the bolt throwers look really good. Let me see if I can get away with one game. Is this not a wireless keyboard? Fuck. Going on. Oh. I can finally fucking delete. I can finally delete every game. God bless. I can delete Vanguard, I can delete everything. Clean keyboard. I mean, it's a keyboard on a Warhammer setup. Load? Load, you piece of shit, load! Do this. Load! I mean, this is too much shit on the screen. Like, Total War in itself has a billion fucking pieces of shit on the screen, so, like... Should work. Okay. I think it's still patching. Patching at 6%. You know what I say to that? I say, fuck you. I can just put this over here and literally do Warhammer while it's patching. Wow. That's clean. I can just go from one thing to another? No way. Okay. What do I want to work on? Or rather, what can I work on? Internet is good. There shouldn't be any problems. No, the internet's good. Everything's good. Okay, I need to, work on something at least. So, guess it'll just be the Anvil Guards when I can finish them off. Original. Not like turbo old, it's like... You're looking at 8th edition kits. Which God knows what year that was. You're looking at 2006 dwarves, like the Dwarf Warriors, the Dwarf Quarrelers, Cannon, shit like that, like 2007. It'll go all the way back to like Old Hammer, so I'm thinking 90s with some of their stuff, or maybe a bit later. But predominantly it'll be like anywhere from 2006 and onwards. That's going to be where most of their range comes from. Which is fine, because the sculpts are great. There's nothing wrong with those sculpts. Really good. Bro, I look like a fucking freak. Yo, fix my fucking... What the fuck, brother? Well, slow but sure. I'm trying to download the Total War patch. Because I want to try the new DLC. So otherwise, slow but sure. It's good. I really need to clean this room. Like, this shit needs a sweeping out. Quite a bit. Okay. Yeah, this was the multiplayer patch. No, this is like update, like a literal patch. They buffed bolt throwers, they buffed grudge rakers, they nerfed the thunder barge even more, so like if I bring it, I don't feel like a clown. That's what I'm gonna cope and say with. Like, it's a big multiplayer patch change, for sure. Like, the fact that bolt throwers are now, I think, 8 models in a unit and do more damage, that's cool. Because previously they were 4. 4 models a unit with, like, dog shit damage, like, literal dog shit damage. I think they should be a bit better now. They had, like, their numbers tweaked to be better against large, which is what they're taken for anyways, so... Because the bolt throwers were always like this weird turbo dogshit unit. And, they're just not good. This is a hammer body. It's going to be... So, I'm making Anvil Guard. I planned out my Anvil of Doom yesterday on stream. And the way I'm creating the Anvil Guard is I'm using hammer bodies. Essentially, I'm trying to tie everything together with, like, a Rune Lord, because he's the one running the anvil. So the idea behind it was that... this guy's kind of wearing, like, this scale mail. The Rune Lord is. And, the Hammers also kind of have this scale mail as their skirts. Like, the Longbeards do as well, because it's the same kit. But I had worked with a different variation of it, and I didn't like it. This was a concept a while ago, and I was going to use this one. I was going to use their plate skirt with, like, the chainmail. And then I'm like, that's not really going to work, because it doesn't really line up too well. I want them to all kind of look like the same unit, you know? So I was going to go with this. That's why. So, I'm just creating Anvil Guard. I've got everything planned out. I'm doing, like, a custom Craggy, because I don't want to make the Anvil with named characters. I want them to be Joe Blow nobodies. Because it's just kind of a little bit weird to throw Thoric into a unit, or rather into an army, and then have, like, everything else be weird. Might be lore-friendly for Thoric, but I don't want to throw Thoric in there. Not to mention, for the old world, Craggy's just not even alive at that point, I think. So, the mock-up... The mock-up of the Apprentice at the Forge is literally just going to be like Craggy. Because I yoinked Craggy's arms. So... You know, this is supposed to be green stuffed well. It's just a placeholder, obviously, but... That's the idea for the Apprentice. Right? When he's all done, he'll look way better, but... He's supposed to be sitting in front of the Forge and, like, roasting up the rune. Which is the same pose as Craggy. I don't have one on hand because he's, like, cannibalized. Yeah. So that's the idea. I think what I'll do also is chop out the rune, and I'll create runes that are used in games, so like Wrath and Ruin, Hearth and Home, stuff like that. That's the goal, anyways. Yeah, I did see Gorbalat. Yeah. Colossal Squigs would make sense. The Squig Gobas, those, like, things that spat Squigs. Gorbad, I've talked about so many times. I'm like, if you're going to bring out any DLC for Greenskins, it needs to be Gorbad. He's the only big mounted, like, orc war boss. And he was a mini. People love the mini. I love that mini. Bro went around, like, terrorizing the Empire. At a big wall. To me, Gorbad was always the most impressive, except they decided to go with Grimgor. And I think because in lore, Gorbad was kind of like MIA, he was supposedly killed. Which I believe he was, because he's not even in the end times. He's like an OG character. Yep. I mean, he was like the grand strategist. He was like the most successful war boss in terms of working with his army. He had the coolest, out of all the lords, in my opinion, he was the most like iconic looking. Like Azag on his skull muncha and all that crap. Like, oh great, he's big and imposing on a wyvern, but I have him. It just never really like jived with me, I guess. Not my favorite guy. Gorbad just looks so good. Looks so good. Super cool. He's got his named Mount Narla, the giant fucking like war boar. Thing's the size of like 10 men. I mean, they're not gonna retcon it, dude. You can't retcon that. It is what it is. It's so old at this point. Who cares? It's like shit happens. The world ended. Deal with it. People may not like it, but like that's the world we live in. The world of no world. This is 2000. Well, I mean, if the old world... Well, the problem with the end times thing is that they're trying to put in... The old world is slotting into, like, a time frame that wasn't really explored. I can't name it off the top of my head. It's one of the Chaos Incursions, like it usually is. And, I mean... The old world is marketed towards people who played it growing up, or played it in the past. I don't think people getting into it right now is too big of a thing. Like, new people. I don't want to say, you know, oh, I'm wrong, whatever. That's how I see it, at least. I need a new blade. It's definitely more of like a nostalgic boomer, like, hey, look at us, we still have your game, come play it. Did you miss spending money with us? Because you're about to spend a lot more when we bring back your favorite minis. I think that's where they're at. Did you miss us? Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. I mean, it's in the book. It's in the old world, like, main core book. It will tell you where exactly it slots in. I just haven't read it in a while. There's just so many fucking events in Warhammer that, like, you can easily get mixed up with things and sidetracked and think about one thing, but then it's a different thing, so it's, like, kind of annoying. Not that that's a bad thing, because, like, more content, the better. It's just a matter of remembering all of it properly. Lord of the Rings, take it or leave it. I mean, if you like Lord of the Rings, you'll like Warhammer Fantasy. Like, that's just not even comparable. Angled glasses. I mean, it's not like I'm not really fucking up my neck too much. Like I can put the chair up. Fuck, I feel like a normal person. Yikes. This is so gross. I feel normal. Yeah, I mean, people fuck around with that stuff, but it's legit. It's very helpful. It's useful. Super useful. There ain't nothing better than, like, having all the tools for the job. Why is it so dark? Okay, where is this game? 62% done downloading. What? That's it? This thing is not going anywhere. Oh my god. It should be way done by now. I guess my connection blows. Why does my connection blow? Give me 1 second. 1 sec. All right. Here's the game plan for a little bit. We're gonna leave the stream. In about 15 minutes, we're gonna go. That's pretty early. We're not supposed to be leaving. But we want to go unpack a few more things. Hang on. We want to go unpack some more stuff so we can be free in the future. Which means, I guess, for now, I'm not going to play Total War. Okay. So we've got, like, 10 more minutes. I mean, fuck, for God's sake, the game's not even done downloading. In the meantime, when I come back, I can clear this whole PC out and maybe make more room for, like, actual games. Release the Bug's Life. What are you talking about? What is bro talking about? There's just no room. This is my stream room. It's my Warhammer room, my stream room, my collecting room. It's just a fucking mess. Which is why I'm going to be selling some of my shit soon just to make more space. Taking gup. I don't know what the fuck that means, dude. That's like slang, kids slang. What is bro on about? Taking gup. What's the difference with old school Warhammer Dwarves rules and units with the old world ones? You're talking like 8th edition? Pretty sure most of it, because everyone's saying it's an amalgamation of like previous editions. I haven't played previous editions. I started in like 7.5 to 8th, which is a few years. I haven't played new old world, so I can't tell you. From what I've gathered, the biggest changes to the game in general are just shooting is kind of shitty compared to what it was. But I've yet to play Old World, so, like, I can't tell you. I wish I've played. I wish. I just don't have time right now. Dredging yo, buddy. It's just kind of hard to play, like, oh, the universe. I thought you meant rules. I mean, it's just a few hundred years prior. I don't think there's much going on. Because the thing with the dwarves is that a lot of their problems, a lot of the cataclysms happened ages ago. The dwarves currently, at least in Warhammer Fantasy, are basically just going nowhere. They really don't go anywhere. Prior to everything, it was just kind of like the Golden Age, and then this happened, oh, we're fucked. This happened, oh, we're fucked. This happened, oh, we're fucked. They just kept getting fucked and fucked and fucked, and then eventually they weren't getting as fucked, but they've been destroyed so much that they can't really do much, and that's kind of where they are. You know, there's a few people, like Thorgrim had come up, and he's like, you know what, our people are just stagnant, we're doing nothing, let's take back the realms, let's go avenge all the grudges, let's do shit. Let's just get out and get stuff done. Right? The dwarves just sit around and brood in their fucking mountains, complaining about the past, complaining about, like, lost holds and glory days long past. They don't really do much. Like, dwarves aren't typically mounting assaults on, like, other races, and they're not going out and, you know, perilously trying to, like, take something back and everyone's dying. They can't do that. There's no numbers, there's no, like... There's no real power to the dwarves like they once had, so they kind of just, again, sit around and dwell in their holds, and, you know, if the Empire's, like, under fire, it's like, okay, we've got our oaths, sure. Outside of that, it's, like, minor conflicts, and that's really it for the dwarves. Pretty sure they said, again, it was a few hundred years prior to where they were before. Who would be the High King at that time? Jesus, I'd have to go look. There's so many of them. Oh, I mean, if the dwarves were a little bit more progressive, I mean, they could probably get stuff done. They make the most reliable destructive things in the world. Only rivaled by, like, you could say Skaven, in how unreliable everything is, and then you could say maybe Chaos Dwarves as well, but they're off doing, like, their own thing, and they don't really interact. It's always a what-if scenario. What if the greenskins came together? What if the dwarves came together? What if the elves and the dwarves never hated each other? It's like, holy shit, that would be a different time. But I mean, it is 100% the fault of the elves. For everything that has happened, 100%. And they lost. Well, I mean, it's not egocentric runesmiths. I mean, the reason those runes are so safeguarded is because they're just so sacred. It takes years and years and years to even craft one, and it has to be perfect. So, like, you can't let this magic go, you know? With how much left of it is kind of in the world and how many runesmiths can even work that shit anymore. Like, way back when, I guess it was during, like, the War of Vengeance, before the dwarves got fucked, before the elves got fucked. Runesmiths, rune lords, galore, runes on every weapon, runes on every piece of armor. Your little satchel, it's got a rune. That shit shoots lightning. Everywhere there was runes, right? They lost it all, and now they have to keep what they have sacred. You can't lose your stuff. Like, yeah, the rune golems, or like the rune guardians, you know, before the whole, vortex thing and all the winds were kind of like sucked out. Magic was just rampant. It was everywhere, and they fucking put it into everything. Every weapon was rune encrusted. Every piece of gear, again, was very powerful. Is it? 2 minutes, Ivana, 2 minutes. It's a craft that's like just... Well, first of all, I mean, Grungni. Was it Grungni who did all that shit? I have to read up on my ancestor gods again. Typically, when it comes to anything dwarf-related, if it pertains to an ancestor god, it's, like, highly regarded. Because it's their past. It's, like, everything that they are is always bent upon their ancestors, you know? They always hold that shit to, like, the highest of standards. Like, how dare you spend 3,000 days on this instead of 4? You lazy bum? Pretty sure it was Grungni who taught rune magic and whatnot, how to bind runes. I think it was him. It was a way for the dwarves to actually harness something more than just, like, genetics. It's like, yes, we are genetically gifted to just not ail and not grow old as fast as people and whatnot, and our biceps are like tree trunks, and we're immovable. We can sit at a rock and pick away for, like, tens of hours and feel just fine. Like, yes, genetically, dwarves are very different from humans. I think a lot of people have that misconception where, like, they'll look at a human, they'll look at a dwarf and be like, how the fuck are you gonna like a human, dude? It's just a squat. Or how are you gonna like a dwarf? It's a squat human, it's got a beard, and it stinks. But, like, they're just a completely different race of beings. Their religion, their way of life, like, their biology, everything is different. It's an alien race. They're not human. They only look humanoid. That's basically where that ends. Well, they were willing to forgive it, but, like, that's a whole nother story. I mean, let me just think back. Let me remember. I need to go read up on the books again. I have to go flip through them. I can't remember it. I cannot remember that. The War of the Beard, or the War of Vengeance for the dwarves, was pretty interesting. It was, kind of gave you a glimpse into, like, the full militaristic side of dwarves if they actually all banded and did something with their power. But, yeah, I believe it was, they had gone to the Phoenix King and said, hey, you killed our guys, what's going on? He's like, no, we didn't, whatever, blah, 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 sent them back. Something like that, and then shaved their beards. It's been a while. It was a Dark Elf plot. It was Malekith trying to, like, basically just fuck over the High Elves so he could come in. The dwarves were just a tool. It was never really about the dwarves, it was always about the High Elves. And Malekith had used that to kind of weaken the High Elves, right? That was the idea. Yep. I've got the books. I've got the War of Vengeance. I just have to go flip through them. It's been a while. It's what, like... I think it was the War of Vengeance, Curse of the... It was the War of Vengeance, Master of Dragons, and Curse of the Phoenix Crown. Those 3 books cover it. Yeah, I mean, well, it was different times. Like, elves and dwarves were not hated. Like, they did not hate each other in any way. The craziest thing to me was, didn't Grombrindle forgive Malekith? There was something about forgiving Malekith in the end times. Again, there's just so much shit, it's hard to remember it all. I think there was something about that, but, like, how could you... It was Snorri. How could you ever forgive that? How could you ever forgive a guy who sought power and through that fucked your entire race? Killed your entire species because of his selfish gain. How could you ever deal with that again? That was so fucked. Like, I don't know, man. That is disgusting. Yep, that's pretty bad. It's like, dude, you bombed my whole fucking species out of existence, but you know what? I guess it happened. Character growth. Well, in Warhammer Fantasy, Grombrindle was always like the vengeance, the spirit of the dwarves, you know, like the ever-fighting fire to never go out. He was always about just dealing with shit with axe and hammer. And then in Age of Sigmar, he's more of like a guiding hand. He's trying to like reunite all the dwarves and get them back together to do something. Malekith had an enemy sneak up behind him in battle, and Snorri whacked it and said, "You never knew to look behind your back," or something. I don't know. Yeah, the end times is just so goofy, man. I gotta go read those again, too. Like, there's a lot of just stupid shit in the end times. Everyone gets gutted. There's just a bunch of, like, really dumb things that they do that they probably shouldn't. It didn't make sense, but I don't think it had to. They just wanted to wrap it up, and which is why everyone hated it. You can't do that. No fucking way. There is no way you would ever... Like, your best friend swore on your deathbed to keep things good with your race, and then went behind your back and killed your whole race. Don't worry, bro. It's fine. It's just another Tuesday. What? Like, you know? Anyways, I gotta go, folks. I was supposed to be on a little bit longer. I will actually come back and stream again here because I do want to play Total War. And I guess we'll just do a bit of Warhammer in queue. But yeah, with that being said, I'm out, everyone. I will catch you in a few... Probably in like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Yeah, he would never, no. Like, the hatred you would feel especially in that position, being like the High King, the person leading your entire race to like greatness, to then get betrayed by the one person you had like your utmost trust with. Oh, bro, this is just shit writing, I guess. That's just like an elf lover trying to make amends with dwarven fans or something. I don't know.